And good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us here tonight for a special show. Tonight on the show, well, first of all, let me give you today's date. It is Thursday night, April 21st, 2016. This is King Jordan Radio you're listening to. Tonight on the show, we'll discuss the white guy playing Michael Jackson. We'll get our guests' thoughts on that. We'll get our guests' thoughts on the hot car death trial, which is going to be making big headwaves. We'll touch on Prince a little. Sentencing for Oscar Pistorius, and we'll talk about the trial of the year as I introduce, ladies and gentlemen, he is a world-renowned defense attorney. He was named Trial Lawyer of the Year, ladies and gentlemen, represented such people as Michael Jackson in 2005 with a full acquittal, Robert Blake, Mike Tyson, the ex-wife of Joe Pesci, and not only that, he does pro bono work at least once a year, and he has got a lot of acquittals in that. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I bring back to you one of the best defense attorneys in the world, the one and only Tom Mesereau. Good evening, Tom, and welcome back to the King Jordan Radio Show. How are you?
Hi, Jordan. I'm doing fine, and what an honor it is to be invited back on your show, and thanks for thinking of me. I look forward to it.
Absolutely. Today, I saw the news, and I'm sure you heard about it. It made me think about 6 years ago, and Latoya Jackson commented it. So before we go anywhere, what's your thought on 57-year-old Prince who passed away today?
My first thought was another tragedy, another victim of fame. I don't know what caused his death. I know that TMZ is reporting that they think it was drug-related, that they think he was in a plane and made some type of a quick landing to get to the hospital and be treated, possibly for a drug overdose. I don't know if that's true. I hope it's not. But, I look at Michael Jackson dead at 50, Elvis Presley dead at 42, Marilyn Monroe dead at 36, Prince dead at 57, and I just have to believe that all of these early deaths are fame-related. Fame can be a very complicated, very serious, and very heavy quality to deal with. And I think Prince was a brilliant artist. From everything I've heard about him, he was a good person, too. Like Michael Jackson, he wanted to bring all people together, regardless of their race, their sexuality, their religion, their nationality. I think he spread a lot of goodwill from everything I've seen. Brilliant artist, like Michael, and left a very, very positive imprint on the world. So it's a tragedy. What can I tell you?
Yeah, and like Michael, they were honoring him here in New York City at the Apollo. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Sure.
And so there was a vigil there, and all over it's nonstop coverage, and it's just shades of 2009. The lady that was representing Prince in some music direction also worked with Michael Jackson, and couldn't hold back the tears earlier today on the CNN network. So that's pretty sad, to say the least.
Well, there's an old saying, only the good die young. I think you've heard of that. And days like today, I realize there's a lot of truth to that, a lot of validity to that saying. It's very, very sad.
Yes, and we lost a lot of people also this week. In terms of yesterday, we lost a former bodybuilding lady, not as big as Prince, obviously, also worked in wrestling, China. We lost the comedy actress. She was 90 years old, not as terrible as losing somebody in the 50s, but just eerie to have so many people go so quickly in 1 week. So you never know.
Well, life is very precious, and we have to do our best to enjoy every second of it as best we can. I mean, every morning I wake up, I just thank God I'm alive, and I think we're blessed to be alive, and if we have our health, that's a blessing too. So you can't take life for granted. It can end at any time.
No question about it. The first topic I wanted to discuss with you is the white guy that's going to be playing Michael Jackson on a one-off movie production. Here's some sound from the story, and I want to get your take on the other side.
Once in a while, it does matter if you're black or white. The Guardian recently announced a new comedy special about Michael Jackson. It'll air on UK TV channel Sky Arts. The half-hour special will follow the true story of his post-9/11 trip from New York to Ohio. According to a Vanity Fair article, Jackson rented a car with Elizabeth Taylor and Marlon Brando and attempted to drive all the way back to California after air travel out of the city was canceled. That just sounds, A, actually hilarious, and B, like a thing Michael Jackson would never accomplish. Stockard Channing will play Elizabeth Taylor, Brian Cox will play Marlon Brando, and Michael Jackson will be played by this white guy.
Without doubt, and plays the lute. She has a natural ear and a bosom. Did I mention her bosom?
Yep, that's Joseph Fiennes, who famously played William Shakespeare in the 1998 Best Picture, Shakespeare in Love. You may have noticed that he's not American, or a black guy. But naturally, everybody feels good about this choice, right? Oh, no, they're not? People are super pissed? Weird. A lot of people are taking issue with the fact that one of the most iconic black figures of all time is being played by a guy who's never even been black once. Let's look at some tweets. Imani Gandhi says, they cast a white guy to play Michael Jackson. I think we can admit this whole planet Earth thing isn't working out. Orlando Jones says, I'm totally on board with Joseph Fiennes playing Michael Jackson if and only if Angela Bassett is cast as Elizabeth Taylor. Agreed. Louis Bertel says, Trump headlines make me crave more rational news, like Joseph Fiennes playing Michael Jackson in a 9/11 drama. I can't believe that's a real headline. Yeah. Princess Penny says, Joseph Fiennes can play Michael Jackson, a real person, but Idris can't play James Bond, a fake spy for a fake agency? Cool. What do you think of the casting? Who would actually make a good Michael Jackson? Let us know what you think in the comments. Make sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to What's Trending. I'm Jay Walker. Thanks for watching.
So, Tom Mesereau, we had the bodyguard of Michael Jackson yesterday, and he was talking about legacy, and he didn't feel it was a good decision to have this one-off show played by a white guy, and BET was frustrated a lot, to say the least. What's your thoughts on this situation?
Well, my reaction is a little bit complex. First of all, on a personal level, I don't particularly care what the race is, as long as the actor is a very professional and brings out the truth of who Michael was and what he did, what he meant to all of us and what he accomplished. So on a personal level, I really don't care. The Michael Jackson I knew was very multiracial, very multicultural, wanted to bring people of all different races, religions, cultures, nationalities, geographical regions together. That was one of the strongest qualities that I picked up from him, and when I was preparing his defense, I made sure that the issue of him bringing everyone together was paramount in the courtroom. I tried to bring that out every way I could. He was not a divisive person. He was an inclusive person. So as long as the actor is very professional and does a wonderful job, I don't really care. And I heard the mention of James Bond, and I was reading an article where somebody raised the issue of what about a black James Bond, and I'll tell you, I was thinking when Sean Connery, decades ago became the first James Bond, I think Sidney Poitier would have been a terrific James Bond. A young, handsome, charismatic, exciting, romantic. So I don't, on a personal level particularly care about the race of the actor. Now, when it comes to society, there's no doubt in my mind that the African-American community should constantly and repeatedly remind Hollywood that we need our just due. We need to be treated equal. I think that's true of all minorities. The majority will always have a tendency to want to perpetuate itself, to stay a majority. And just like you've seen African American entertainers, voicing their disapproval that so few positive roles and important roles are going to black actors. I think every minority group is going to have to do that. You're going to have to constantly do it, because otherwise you'll be left behind. Majorities tend to want to it themselves. So I kind of have a dual response to this. I can understand why African American community wants a black actor to play this icon, Michael Jackson. On a personal level, I've given you my thoughts, and that's kind of how I feel about the whole thing. It appears they picked a very professional actor, a very talented actor on a high level to play him, and maybe he'll do a wonderful job. I sure hope he does. But on the other hand, minorities must always work hard to make sure they're treated equal, so I can understand the black community being upset about it.
Absolutely. Also, in the death department, somebody that you knew well and you worked on the documentary A Life of an Icon, David Guest passed away, I think about 2 weeks ago or so. Tell me if you knew him, and if so, what kind of person was David?
I knew David very well, and one of the most wonderful weeks of my life was spent in London when David Guest invited me to appear at the red carpet premiere of his wonderful documentary, Michael Jackson, The Life of an Icon. I got to know him very well that week. I spent a lot of time with him. We spent a lot of time in London doing various things, including going to restaurants with other people who appeared in the documentary. We went around London together, and I thought he was a very, very kind, considerate, talented man. Thought the world of Michael Jackson. I have the fondest memories of him. I had never really spent time with him until that week, and it was one of the most exciting, rewarding weeks I've ever spent. So I was shocked when I heard he had died. He was only 62. I don't know what really happened. I'm told by a British journalist that apparently he was having some sleep problems and using some fairly strong sleep medication, and that he may have also been treated with some other medication for a cold. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think we lost a great friend of Michael Jackson and a great supporter of Michael Jackson, and from my experiences, a wonderful guy.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. This week, they're going to have a special on this latest trial. They're calling it the Hot Car Death Trial. Here's the background and how it got started, and I want to get your take on the other side.
CBS 46 News at noon starts now.
Does your client understand that at the current time he has no loss? He does. We just